here. So let's jump into it. Brandon Moreno, Brandon Royval. This is a rematch. This is a really good fight, if you ask me. When you look at both of these guys, if you look at the first time they fought, you got to kind of throw it out the window, just for the mere fact that they're not the same fighter, right? You got a guy in, Moreno, who his story is great. I mean, if you really, really think about his story, this is a guy who came into the UFC. He had some success. He had a couple losses. He ended up leaving, and he kind of did it the perfect way. A lot of these guys, when they get cut, you kind of don't see them no more. When they get, or they just stick to the same blueprint that they have. There's no evolution involved. There's no self-reflection involved. There's none of that. He went back to the drawing board. He patched up all the holes, buttoned up some things that he was loose on. He goes to LFA to test it out. Has good success in LFA, then comes back to the UFC and becomes the champion. So this is a guy who really has some really good self-reflection, of really good constitution, and he's obviously very, very skilled and talented. On the other side, you got Brandon Royval, who is an extremely slippery grappler, good striking, powerful hands, another well-rounded kid. But when I look at this fight overall, you have to look at, where do these guys match each other, and which is very similar. Both these guys got very similar styles. Brandon Moreno is very slick on his back. Royval's very slick on his back. Both of these guys got power. But the one thing I do got to give Moreno on this side is, obviously you got to give him the championship experience. You got to give him the 5-round experience. You got to give him all those accolades. He's been in the brighter lights. He's been on the bigger stages. All the fights with Figueiredo and stuff like that, where we were all tuned in. The guy fought him 4 times. That's how appetizing that matchup was for everybody. So you got to give it. You also got to give him the durability, right? Like, this guy is super, super durable. This kid takes punishment. He's extremely resilient. He has been in numerous amounts of wars, and he continues to move forward. You're just not going to walk over Brandon Moreno. You're just not going to, catch Moreno with something, and all of a sudden the fight's over. Where someone like Brandon Royval, even though, he hasn't been finished all that much, and he is also pretty resilient, you can hurt him. I've seen him hurt numerous times. I've seen him rock numerous times. I've seen him make mistakes in the cage. So this is not really who's better than who for me in this spot. This is who's going to make the least mistakes. And when you look at the cards where they're stacked, you have Brandon Moreno, who obviously was supposed to fight Emil Bazi. It's in Mexico, so it's on his home soil. You got Brandon Royval coming in on short notice for this fight. It's just, for me, it's a tough sell to pick Royval. Can he beat him in this fight? 1,000%. He's got the talent. He's got the skill set. He's got the striking. He's got the slippery grappling. He finds ways to get out of bad situations, especially when he's on the ground. But when you take all that and what I just said, short notice, on Moreno's territory, the durability of Moreno, the 5-round experience of Moreno, the championship medal of Moreno, it's hard not to pick him in this spot. It really is hard not to pick him in this spot. And this is a guy who, honestly, he has a motor for days. He has proven 5 rounds to have a very good motor. There's some fights that he's been spotty, where we've said, his cardio does not look all that good. But all in all, I mean, Moreno is a really, really tough, talented, true Mexican warrior fighter with a lot of skill behind him. So it takes nothing away from Brandon Royval. It's not an indictment on Brandon Royval or anything like that. I just think Moreno edges him in the more important spots where rounds are close. He's got that championship mentality to figure out how to steal it. So I'm going to go Brandon Moreno in this spot with a very, very highly anticipated main event. I do like this main event.